I think one of the most important things that people in the region are doing to support the non-technical aspect is in the simple fact that they are sending their colleagues, sending their senior officers, sending their senior directors on some of these courses. This is incredibly important because it gives a very powerful signal that these are very relevant areas of knowledge, and they need to be developed across the region and through organizations. So we're not only seeing directors, we're seeing heads of missions, we're seeing heads of departments, and we see also a lot of technical staff who are realizing that they need to acquire and practice these non-technical skills in order to get their message across and to be more effective. I think that's an interesting question, and the straightforward answer is that the problems you run into in the private sector tend to be less complex. They are much easier to measure because very often it's about profitability or about cost. And so you can tell whether or not you're making a profit, you can tell whether or not your cost base is increasing or decreasing. In the public sector, the connections between our problems and our solutions can be much more obscure. The measures we use are going to be much harder to pin down. A lot of the changes we're trying to bring about in the public sector take a long time to play out. And of course, lots of these changes are changes in behavior, changes in people's attitudes, are intangibles. So they're almost impossible to measure accurately. I think that's an interesting question again. The role of leadership in initiating and managing change is a very complex role, because when I think about leadership, I think about people who are influential. And that doesn't necessarily mean people at the top of organizations. Leadership goes throughout organizations. We need people who are thinking all the time about better ways of doing things, about being more effective, about institutions being more focused on their stakeholders and their customers' needs. Leaders are people who think like that. They think about outcomes, they think about results, and they're able to put those thoughts into a clear vision that other people are able to understand. So leaders make the future clearer to people. They make the target that you're trying to achieve clearer to people. And I think leadership has a very important role to play. It's a long-term role, it's something we need to develop in ourselves, and I think that's why the non-technical courses that we're running at CEF are so important, because they allow leaders to think outside of their technical areas, how they're having an impact on change, how they're having an impact on targets, how they're having an impact on outcomes.